Good morning guys, today is Wednesday the 1st of March. Bit like the other day really, the sun's trying to get through but they keep being showers, so I'm not very hopeful on a good day today to do much work. I haven't got long, but my plan is to see if I can get the wing ready to go on at least. We will see. I might even get it on, but like I say, I haven't got long at all, so we'll see how we get on with this. Come on sunshine. That is still really cold as well. Right, I've got some nuts and bolts in this bag and some big washers. Hang on, I'll just get them out, we'll have a look. There they are, just cheap ones, they'll do to get this wing on. And I thought nice big washers. I did really want nylock nuts, but this is all they had at my local wheel goob. I thought they'll do, there ain't going to be much happen to them, and I'll put something on them that'll stop them coming undone anyway. So looking at this wing, I think I need to sort out here these wires first, get them ready for this light for when I reconnect it, so I can post the cable straight through. I'd have thought that had gone through the bottom, but there is a hole there, but that might just be for the side light. Should really have a grommet in there. I'll see if I can find one of them as well. Right, let's try and crack on with this. So obviously these are the old wires, really brittle and old. That's the old grommet, it's broken up, hard as anything. So that was in the top of the light. As you can see, it's all rusty in this holder, but we're not bothered about that. As long as the headlight will still bolt in okay, and there'll be where the wire will come through for the headlight, so I can tuck that through. I'm just going to have a look around and see if I have got a grommet that will fit that, and also for this bottom one. So these are the little rubber grommets, bungs, whatever you want to call them. Got these really cheap, like Wilco or somewhere like that I think. But they come in handy because whenever you put a hole through a bulkhead or anything like this, if you don't put that in, the wire will scrape and obviously could short out. So we've got one in the top here, in the old hole, and I've just put a piece of the wire through the same size as the wire I'm going to put through, just to make sure that'll go through okay. So that'll be the one for the headlight. I'll see if I can find a small one for this one. So I guess it's going to be the side light. I've got plenty of small ones in here. Something like that will do. They don't have a hole in them, you put them in and then you push something through like a screwdriver to make the hole the size you need. So if you remember when we took this wing off, we had to cut this away because it was rotten and there was a bolt through there to bolt it to the inner wing on George. So when we put it back, I'm obviously going to need to fasten it somehow. So I'm just going to clean this up and we'll make a little plate to go in there. We'll just tack it in place. It's not got to be perfect. That's just enough just to hold that when we put it back onto George. And then we'll be ready to get this on. Right, see if I can find a little piece of steel to fit that. Then, so we've got a piece of steel. You can measure this to there, that obviously gets smaller, but I'm just going to cut a piece out roughly what I know will be roughly the size out of this, and then we'll offer it up and we'll bend it and just get it the shape we want it. And to cut this, I'm just going to use these tin snips. Sometimes I use these. I have got some aviation snips somewhere. I have been using these. This steel is quite thin. I think that is only 0.8 mil. I used to use 0.9 or 1mm. This stuff's nice and easy to bend into shapes, but slightly thinner than I normally use, but I've been using it throughout this job and it's working fine, so that'll do. Right, I'll just cut a square out of this with these snips. There's a piece I've cut. Like I say, we're just going to put it into here, so we just need to put a bend in it there. Just shape it how we need it, and then we're going to tack it into place. And the way I'll bend it, because this is so thin, I'll just either use my pliers, but in this case I'll just bend it in a vise, just put it in and pull it over, which well, you'll see. As you can see, I've just literally put it in a vise and bent it over. I ain't done any measuring because I know I need that bend and I know it gets smaller, so I'll just slant that down when we put that in. It's obviously going to go there, we'll put it underneath for this minute. So obviously that'll go something like that. Simple as that really. So this edge I can then bend and fix to that inner wing. Simples, eh? Basically we'll just hold that in place and follow this go down, because it gets slightly smaller this end, as you can see as it's coming down. It's the same gap, and like I say, this will be able to be bent, knocked about to attach it, just purely so I can nip that wing to the bottom of the inner wing when I put it onto the car. Right, so before I can tack this together, I'm going to need to clean up this metal here, because trying to weld that will be terrible. So I'll give it a bit of a clean up, and then I'll put it back in place, and then we'll tack it on. So there we go, that's going to be good enough for this. Just a quick clean up, so we got some metal away from this black paint or whatever it is under here, what could catch fire or just get into the weld. Like I said, it's not really a structural weld, it's just to nip this wing on. And while we're here, I'll just say, as I normally do, I'm not pretending I'm an expert at doing things. All I'm doing is just showing you what I'm doing to George so that I can keep him on the road. Obviously, if he was going to be restored, we'd need to do a much better job than we are doing. I'm trying to spend as little money as possible by using stuff I've already got lying around and just making him safe, and this is the way he's going. So, you know, if you think I'm not doing it to a very good standard, the reason is I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to tidy him up and get him back on the road so I can use him for a bit of fun, eh? Right, let's get on with this. Looks like there's a couple of spits of rain again now. It's really annoying. Anyway, lucky I can do this inside. So obviously I've got my grips on. Many pairs of grips as you can find is always handy for doing stuff like this. So what I'll do, I'll fire up the welder and I'll just tack it here somewhere where it's touching, and here, and then I'll just move round. I'll probably get a G clamp or something and put here so I can keep them nice and tight. It don't need to be a full weld all the way round, just a few tacks on it. Like I say, it's only to help hold that on. You'll be surprised really how little you need for stuff like this. That's just how you want it to look. There again, you see, if I was going to do a repair perfect, I would actually probably try and butt join this and do very small tacks, grind it off, do them again until you couldn't see it, but there's just no point. The only time I'd do that sort of thing would be actually on the bodywork. Stuff like this, just this, and even sometimes on bodywork I'll just do it like this and then put a film, skim a filler over, which is fair enough for just tidying the car up. Okay, there's some tacks on there, like they're not brilliant, but that's held it. At the end of the day, like I've said before, you'll always get people who will say, oh, I'd have done a better job than that. Well, let them do it. There's only one person you got to please when you're doing stuff like this on your car, and that's yourself. And I know that is not going to fall off, and you wouldn't even see that because that'll be underneath. So what I'll do now is I'll put a bit of primer on that, cover it up, and then when this wing goes on, we'll weld this plate, like I said, to that bottom. It'll never get seen, yet it'll hold that wing on. And I'm happy with it, and like I say, that's all I'm bothered. I could keep going, fill in the gaps, but I really don't see any point on this particular thing. If I wanted to do it neater, all I would do is just go back over, grind it off and go over. You can't do a continuous weld with this welder on steel. This, I might be able to get a little bit of a run on this new, but with this it's so thin in places, that's just going to rip it apart. So that's why just a tack will do. They ain't going to come off, and it's going to hold this wing on. I mean, if you look at the wing, it's going here around the side of that headlight, but I'm not bothered. I just want it to get back on George. Go around the other side where we tacked at, you can see where it's penetrated through. There was a hole there, but that just shows you that it's welded to there, and that's not going to come off. And I'm happy with it. Right, I'm going to stick a bit of paint on that now, on this inner side, and then when this goes on, this will be painted over anyway. Right, so just before I go, I've just stuck some primer on there. It's a bit runny because I've hurried up, rushed, whacked it on there. But the idea of that is a weld through primer, so when I weld this side through here, when I weld it back to the car, that won't catch fire or anything, that will just stay there, just burn through it. Oh, so I'm going to have to leave it now, even though the sun's coming out. I just haven't got the time. So obviously today's video is very short, but I just wanted to show you what I'm going to do with the inner wing, and hopefully tomorrow I'll get this wing back on George. That's the plan. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.